Hello and welcome back to another video. I'm so glad you're here. On this channel, I talk about news, controversies, and drama on the bookish side of the internet, and I certainly hope you will stick around. So this is crazy. I posted my video about Audra Winters 3 days ago, and I would be lying if I said I wasn't checking twice a day to see if there were any updates on her account. Not because I plan to make another video, I mean, at least not this soon, but simply put, I am a nosy bitch. But this is not what I expected at all when I found that she had updated. And maybe that's naive of me, but if you have no idea what I'm talking about, please make sure you go and watch my most recent video. I will put a link up here, but it's pretty imperative that you've seen that one first. So make sure you do that. So after all of that, I expected Audra to take some time to lay low. You know, the way she was talking in her last video, she was mentioning being scared for her safety. And this is absolutely not what I think would have been the wise choice, you know, what she ended up doing. So I'm going to play a couple of clips from her 16-minute video that kind of illustrate how she was feeling that made me surprised.
I don't even want to say some of the things that I had heard, and I was getting harassed by certain people that were going on to every single one of my videos and commenting these like nasty, like really concerning nasty things that were not constructive criticism. Here I am being told by dozens of people all at once the hardest things that I have ever heard in my life. Like the biggest fears that I have, things that impacted me so much. I didn't know what to do. I turned to my team and I was like, I'm carrying all these people, these 20 people that I have hired as contractors and employees, and I've failed them. I did something wrong. At first, it was like, I can't tell what I did wrong because I felt like I had done everything right up to that point. I had hired editors. I had done everything that I could to my best ability because I am one person. I've never been at a mental low than I have this past week. People commenting things like, you're saying this is affecting your safety? To which my answer is, it was affecting my safety. It literally felt like I was being crushed by the world. I have never experienced heartbreak to that level. I have never experienced fear to that level. What do I do? Like, how do I respond to these people who are being like obviously aggressive? Because if I delete comments, people are going to get mad at me. If I block people, people are going to get mad at me. So how do I deal with being harassed? I'm still unhealthy from this. I'm still living in fear, barely eaten anything in the past like 5 days because this does mean this much to me.
So in the first part of that clip, she put text on the screen that says she's been doxxed, which I feel like she maybe doesn't know what that means, only because if she had truly been doxxed, I feel like she would have gone into more detail about that. It's just kind of my perception of like the person we know her to be that we found out. I feel like she'd want to really go with that. Okay, so imagine my surprise when she showed up again in her Elizabeth Holmes shirt, showing us loud and proud that she hasn't learned a damn thing. So I'm gonna be stopping this video with my thoughts as we go. I'm sorry if that's annoying. I have watched this video one time, so it might not be quite as polished as I usually try to be, so forgive me.
My name is Audra Winter. I am the creator of the World of Guardian, and today I am coming on here to talk about a couple of pretty large updates. We are pushing the release date of the second edition of AOS into March.
For those of you that are just listening, she has text on the screen that says, both listings now say spring 2026 in case we need to shift things around. Check out the weekly FAQs I posted after this video to see more about the limited edition paperback listing being delayed so its content is updated to the revised/expanded second edition. We will get to the FAQs in a minute.
I'll explain why in a second, but we took a lot of time in the past 2 weeks with everything going on to basically put together an 8-step plan for a revision process. My goal is to get through 1 chapter at least every week, 2 if I can, but we don't want to rush it. So 1 chapter is what I really feel comfortable with based on the structure that we have built.
So I don't know what's standard as far as like editing timeline, but based on the extremely small amount of her work that I have read, a chapter or 2 a week seems ambitious, and ambitious in a way that that's not what she should be doing right now.
First step in this revision process is that my team has a meeting at the beginning of every week before I start revising the chapter. Multiple of us have taken feedback from across the internet from a lot of you guys, and we like to discuss the things that are happening in each chapter and what can we do to improve it. This core team is made up of about 6 to 8 people across the arts, across different mediums, and people who have already read the first version of the book at least once, if not twice.
I'm just still confused on why she needs a whole ass team of people to do all of this. Editors need to be involved in all of that, but this feels like it should really not require so many people, especially considering that these people are like not people who know about publishing.
The second step that I am taking in this revision process is essentially reverse engineering a writing process. One of my employees is my secondary developer, Solly. I actually get on a call almost every single night for about 3 hours with Solly.
When she says things like my team and get on a call, I feel like she's like cosplaying a CEO boss babe, but she doesn't actually know what she's talking about. And I'm sorry that I'm being a bitch, but it feels like she's just throwing out this like corporate speak to sound important. And again, I'm aware that I sound like a bitch.
And what we are doing is, before I start revisions after the team meeting, we then have another brainstorming session.
Why does she need so many brainstorming sessions? What is she brainstorming? Like, she's going to rate her book based on the art that he creates? Like, isn't this a novel? Shouldn't, like, the story and, like, the book come first before art? I don't understand.
And this brainstorming session is me verbally describing the outline for the revised chapter that I'm doing. So going over scenes, going over plot, and I'm working through them with my words, actively talking. And Solly helps me to develop, change ideas, shift things around. But what Solly also does is Solly is an artist. And so Solly will literally draw these things while I am outlining and do some concept art for this chapter. I am then writing descriptions based off of that art, which is really, really cool because it's fun to have visuals while you're writing. And the fact that I can have visuals of the things that I am writing is even cooler. Third step, simple, I rewrite the chapter. This I do by myself because it's my writing and my story. Fourth step, the entire team goes over it again.
Why does an entire team need to go over this? Like, why? An artist doesn't need to be in a meeting about the story. It feels like this was wasting people's time.
So if there's any changes that need to be made in the storytelling, I'll do that and I'll adjust it. Fifth step, we are bringing on an in-house copy editor and proofreader.
Why do you need an in-house copy editor? Like what? Y'all are working on one single book. You don't need to hire an in-house copy editor. I don't get it.
This is not just somebody from our audience. We are only hiring somebody with a lot of experience in editing, preferably somebody who has been both in self and traditional publishing, and we're going through a lot of applications. That copy editor will also do some line edits, and after they're done with that, we're going to do a one-on-one discussion and apply those changes.
I'm not a part of this industry publishing all of that, but like from what y'all have said, a copy editor and a line editor are two like different jobs. And yes, one person can do both, but like they're different things. So it seems like she's gonna hire 6 artists for all kinds of stuff, but she's not gonna hire like a separate copy editor and line editor. Okay.
Step 6 is that formatting. So our formatter, Joe, he was the person who did all the formatting on the first edition of AOS, is going to go in and re-put that file into the book format. After Joe does that, it will then go through another round of proofing. So somebody that has not been involved up to this point will go through and look at that brand new finalized chapter to make sure there are no errors in the actual book file. And if that was not enough proofing, we are taking the entire creative team, and at the end of all the finalization, we're going to go through it and check one last time if there are any errors at all.
If you are a digital artist or anyone who would be doing artwork for this book, please tell me, would you need/want to even be involved in a meeting like this? Like, I just can't imagine that she's paying people enough to care about being in a meeting like this when it really doesn't have anything to do with what their job is in the project. And I mean, that's even questionable. Does there really need to be an art department for a novel, a debut novel? One.
You heard me mention in the last video that there would be some changes in the artistic content in the book itself. And that is because that core team of people that help with feedback and making that outline, while I am revising and while the copy editor is editing, those people love doing the art for this thing. So they're just going to go in and do some really cool things that involve artistic storytelling along with literature-based narrative. So we're incorporating elements such as different like page borders, and we're doing that because there are scenes in the book where like it's a recollection of a memory. And
Audra, listen to me. No one gives a single fuck about page borders. They want to read a good story. She's still focusing on the wrong things. She's made this whole thing about how she's made taken everyone's comments and critiques to fix this, and then proceeded to do everything exactly the same way that she was already doing it.
So making that obvious by like art and outlining the page is going to be really cool.
Like, it shouldn't have to be outlined on the page to make you know that. Your writing should do that. And anyway.
We're basically approaching this in the most artistic and creative way that we can, between how can we best revise this book based upon what it needs, what do we need for this book, what have we heard from people, and then what can we do to make it extra special and make that storytelling really shine as a team. And so that is how I built that 8-step revision process. We are completely discontinuing print on demand, so you will not be able to find this book on like Amazon or Barnes & Noble anymore. And that is because when we distribute the books and buy them from the printers, that profit goes directly back into our studio. So for those of you that have been wondering like, how in the world did I pull this all off? I acted in the same way a publisher would. So I did a lot of research on who do publishers use to print their books, how do they distribute their books, and so I found a method on the TikTok shop of distributing them myself. We buy the books in bulk, so we buy big shipments of like 5,500 books. Unlike an author who has published like print on demand, we retain almost all of our profit from that book.
But you also don't end up with hundreds of copies you can't sell when you do it like most indie authors. Like, she orders 5,500 books, but what if no one wants to buy them? Then you are stuck with books you can't sell and that nobody wants. This sounds like a terrible plan.
And it goes directly back to my team. So the folks that are working on this with me get royalties. We're taking our time on this next one. We're using the whole creative team, bringing on those in-house editors. So we're incorporating everything that we built up to this point into improving the book. Super excited to share those revised chapters with you guys as we go and really show people the process that we're taking and how to involve a lot of creative minds in the publication of a book and in the building of a larger series that will turn multimedia.
What does that mean? That it will turn multimedia? That's a lot of confidence in how this is all gonna play out.
We're going to be posting these revised chapters on our Patreon for free, open to the public. Obviously not all of them in the book. That would not be a wise decision, but enough of them to help to rebuild trust in our audience, because I screwed up and I know, I'm sorry. Thank you if you made it this far. I appreciate the support and the feedback from everybody up to this point. Really excited to continue sharing this world with you and the best way that we can. So welcome to the world of Guardian.
I truly can't express how frustrated I would be if I was someone who had been in the comments before defending her, because she has not changed her plan at all, except for making it take longer. Especially now, she's only sold 25 copies of this book, which is only 4 more than on August 8th when I recorded the first part of this video or of this story. Like, these are not good odds that she's going to be doing a lot of sales, and she seems to just keep spending more money. Like, she's going to definitely make it all back. And, you know, As this has only been up for a few hours, there are not a ton of comments on it, but let's take a look at the ones that are posted. So here someone says, I don't understand why you're getting so much feedback on the text from artists rather than professional editors. And I really don't either, unless she's not actually looking for feedback still. She's just looking for people to tell her that she's doing a great job, and it's not helping her in the long run. It's not. If you're going to be doing all your own distribution, check that your printer has an authorized representative based in the European Union if you plan to sell there, or hire one yourself to be safe from violating GSPR, which I don't know what that stands for or anything, but I mean, I'm assuming it has to do with rights in different countries, and if this book can be sold over there. Probably something she shouldn't think about. Here we go again, big ouch. Yeesh, already delayed to March. I hope that everyone has the conviction to accomplish this. Woods. Which, you know, if you remember reading the first page, she says conviction Woods multiple times. So they're just being cute. It's better that she give herself more time. It takes a lot to edit a book. Yes, it does. A graphic novel is something I definitely think is more of your style since you got over 15 artists, which most indie authors don't have. Well, I don't know what to say to that one. That's a different beast, and I don't know that I would trust her with something that huge. I don't think anyone is buying the revision. If they do, it'll be to see how it has changed. I'm assuming that's what that meant to say. Less than 25 sold. Yeah. At this moment, there are 25. Maybe just write simple, easier books until you build your skill up. No one book should need this kind of team behind it, at least at this stage. I agree. I genuinely believe less emphasis needs to be put on artwork and this whole creative team of employees you always reference. I'm gonna start calling you guys my creative team. Just my team. Your focus from a third party seems to be on being a business over a storyteller, and it's a very bizarre thing to see from any author, let alone with a debut book. All you need is your story and a new, unbiased, unrelated professional editor who you take seriously. Ego needs to be put aside to apply their changes, particularly in stiff dialogue, will help hugely with characterization and repetitive phrasing. Regardless, you have a neat premise and I wish you the best. Totally agree. She clearly has an idea that resonated with people but needs to reel it in and focus on the writing itself. So basically, the same stuff that I was saying. Okay, on to the FAQ thing. She posted this like right around the same exact time that she posted that video. So this is a slideshow looking thing. So I guess she's going to be doing weekly FAQs to keep people up to date on how things are all going behind the scenes. And my brutally honest thoughts on this are that no one cares. The people that did care no longer do. And her actions have really not brought in anyone new. Publish your book or don't. No one but you is losing sleep over this. And I don't say this to be cruel, but overall, it would serve her better to just rewrite this book and then eventually publish it with little fanfare. Just let it speak for itself. Like, I don't know. I hate everything about this. So the first page of this says, what's going on with the limited edition paperback pre-order? And she says, the only change to the limited edition paperback pre-order will be its release date pushed back to spring 2026, aiming for March, April. So its content is updated to the second revised/expanded edition. All other features in the listing, cover, interior art, sprayed edges remain the same. We have totally discontinued the first edition of AOS so we can deliver the best story possible to our readers. If you're one of the 2,000 folks who have already pre-ordered the limited edition paperback, reach out to us via a message to our TikTok shop if you'd like to update your address or cancel the order due to the delay into spring 2026. I mean, people probably want to cancel, but not because of the delay. The next one says, I've never heard of an author having employees and contractors. Where'd you get all the money for that? I'd never heard of it before either. Maybe there's a reason. My approach is, as far as I know, atypical in this industry. When I first hired artists for the book, I used a combination of my personal savings from my job and a scholarship from my university. I don't get it. After that, pre-order sales took off, and I decided to reinvest all that revenue back into the project. That means two things. One, we are our own distributor. I own the books in bulk from my printer in Canada, and once I receive them, we pack and ship them ourselves. While this is an immense amount of labor, it does let us keep a much larger portion of the profit than we would if we went exclusively through a print-on-demand service, such as KDP, Ingram Spark, or B&N Press. Does your time not have any value? Like, That profit gets put back into the project by 2. Hiring on the creative team. AOS has an art/creative team working on it that's much larger than most book series get. I believe in the power of creative people coming together to build what we love, and we aim to make our company a manifestation of that. When you buy a book from us, the money goes to us and our eco-friendly printer. That's it. No big cut to a large company like Amazon. I can't. Are you following the rules with TikTok's terms of service for your pre-orders? Yes, we have been careful to ensure that all our listings clearly state that they are pre-orders in the name, description, and images. We explicitly outline that we send a pre-package with a bookmark, print, and note for seller fulfillment. Once the book is printed, the book is sent in a separate package. I'm not the first or only author selling on TikTok to do this method. See D.A. White Writes, Tide Turner Books, and more. Books by R.A. Deans, Juliana Hager, Violet Taylor, whatever. All listings on the TikTok shop must be manually approved by TikTok before going public, and ours have been approved multiple times. The TikTok shop's official pre-order feature, where the 60-day rule applies, is currently only available to select sellers, not including us. This is a different listing option built in the TikTok shop and does not allow us to send our pre-packaged bubble mailer with a bookmark, note, and print. So the situation with this, in something that people had talked about, was because this is done through the TikTok shop, you are required to send out your product within a certain amount of time. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I thought it was 60 days, but now she's saying that that's a different rule. But in order for her to like basically get around that and saying like, oh, I did fulfill this order and not like get in trouble with the TikTok shop, was that she was sending everyone like a bookmark, a note, and like an art print, and then she was going to ship the book later. But she really was like under no legal obligation to do that, because like she had technically like fulfilled what she had like, it was marked as fulfilled. I guess you can always do that. I really don't know. I think that must need to be like shown as shipped and then shown as delivered, and they can't prove what was in the package. And this became a whole thing that people were talking about, because basically if someone wanted to cancel their pre-order before getting this whatever, she was like demanding that they send back the bookmark, which is just like so wild. But that's kind of the situation with that. But I mean, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it does sound like she's skirting around TikTok shop's terms of service. Like, she names all these authors, and like, just because they're doing it too doesn't mean it's not against TOS. Like, I don't know. It's an interesting situation. Do you delete comments and reviews on TikTok? I don't look at my comments past the first 10 to 20 minutes of a new post because the amount of traction I have right now. The only comments I delete contain personal information about me or my team. Drink every time she says my team. If you posted a comment that doesn't contain that and it gets deleted, it was likely flagged by TikTok's anti-bullying protections. Those are controlled by an algorithm, so sometimes it flags comments it shouldn't and doesn't flag comments it should. Sellers on the TikTok shop don't have the power to delete reviews. I understand that's also a concern that our pre-order process has the intent to create false positive reviews due to the 60-day limit on reviewing a product after delivery, which begins after the delivery of the bookmark package and not the actual book. I have 3 responses to this. 1, it was absolutely never my intention, but I can understand how it looks shady. 2, customers are able to edit the review at any time once submitted, and several people did so, reviewing the book content once it arrived. 3, I had a listing that wasn't a pre-order. The misprints of the first edition AOS now sold out. It had a 4.8 star rating with 10 reviews, several of them mentioning the story. Okay. Ultimately, my goal is not to prevent people from giving honest feedback. Listening to that very feedback has led me to making the revised edition. She's listening to that feedback just about as much as she's listening to her editors, but anyways, to all of that, I'm not sure I believe all of that, but okay. Why did I pay $50 for this book? The first edition hardcover was a discounted $27.99 book sold at $23.99 for the entire duration of its pre-order period. This did not include shipping, which can vary depending on the buyer's location. The price of shipping is set by the TikTok shop. I imagine some folks did pay an amount closer to $50 if they lived far away, Alaska or Hawaii, for instance, but this was not the norm. A lot of people said that this did cost $50, and I have trouble believing that, like, they were all in Hawaii or Canada. And, like, none of this really tracks to me, because the books are in her possession, shipping from her home in Colorado. And the majority of her buyers were in the United States, and so it should not cost $25 to ship a book. I used to ship books all the time, and USPS medium mail is generally no more than like $6 for a big book. It's extremely discounted. It's based on weight. So even if this was a pretty heavy book, I don't feel like it would be that. It certainly wouldn't be $25. So I'm not sure where she's getting all of that from, or if she looked at the best shipping options. And I'm not sure why TikTok Shop would be setting the shipping prices when it's not being shipped by them. If you know, let me know. Why'd you raise the price of the second revised expanded edition hardcover? The revised edition will cost more to print, as it will have a higher page count due to extra content. I am also welcoming an experienced copy editor and proofreader onto our team, and I want to compensate them fairly. The ones from her audience. However, I have listened to the frustration around this decision, and I really need to focus on reestablishing reader trust. To that end, I'm lowering the price of the second edition hardcover to $24.99, previously $29.99, for new buyers. Buyers of the first edition are still eligible to pre-order the second edition at $15 with an optional free digital copy of the revised second edition. Check the link tree in my bio to access these discounts. If you are one of the 25 people who have already purchased a revised hardcover here on TikTok, send us a message through the TikTok shop and we can help you out. Oh, good. She's lowered the price by $5. I would love to see her accounting records, not because I would know what I was looking at, because how the fuck is she paying all of these employees? And, like, I'm kind of skeptical of them actually being employees and not, like, 1099 contractors, because how? Like, I don't understand. Can you explain what went wrong with the first edition of AOS? I've spent a lot of time reflecting on this question in the past 2 weeks. My developmental editor said the plot was ready, but recommended a strong copy edit before publication. Even though I hired a copy editor and proofers, the final phase of implementing their suggestions overlapped with the deluge of thousands of unexpected book pre-orders. I was suddenly in a frenzy with establishing a business, setting up payroll, packing and shipping thousands of bubble mailers, and adapting to the shock of my entire life being turned upside down in a matter of weeks. In retrospect, I was exhausted and overwhelmed, but I felt immense pressure to deliver to all my new readers. I thought I was putting my best effort into finalizing the copy edits and proofing, but I failed to recognize the external factors impacting my overall health and mindset. Unfortunately, I genuinely had no clue that this was a problem until the books were in people's hands. I really do not want this to happen again, and that's why I'm extending the timeline into next spring so I have time to do this revision properly. And this is actually so frustrating to read, because by saying the final phase of editing overlapped with all of like her pre-orders and starting a business with a payroll and all of that is solid proof that the story itself is secondary to her. And what is her whole team doing this whole time? Like, why aren't they helping her out with this stuff so she can actually finish the edits? And how close could these things actually be if the books haven't even been printed yet, given that she's still making edits? Like, make it make sense. I don't understand. Did you scam people when you crowdfunded for a service dog? 2 years ago, I crowdfunded to raise funds for my service dog, a $19,500 prescribed medical aid. My state's disability vocational program paid for part of these costs, but I was responsible for the remaining balance. When this crowdfunding page was brought up as part of the controversy surrounding AOS, I immediately deleted it because it contained sensitive and personal information about me and my mental health, which was circulated maliciously without my consent. She had a TikTok page for her and her service dog, and it was under her real name, which I'm not going to say, but her real name is not Audra Winter. And yeah, it was like her and her dog, and I guess people were being weird, and so she deleted it, which, yeah, can look like a sign of guilt, but of guilty of what? I don't know. I deliberately avoid talking about my service dog on my page because I am occasionally recognized in public, and involving my service dog in my posts would increase the frequency of this. While I deeply appreciate my audience, I also want to retain my privacy, and I hope you can respect that. My service dog keeps me happy and healthy. I am actually quite angry and upset that this has been used against me. I have a PTSD diagnosis, and my service dog has been life-changing for me. So I intentionally left that whole thing out of my first video because there's no evidence of anything like nefarious happening with her raising money. And I'm not going to speak on things I don't have enough information about. But as I said, like, for context, based only on the things that I can confirm as fact, a few years ago, she was trying to get a service dog to assist with her PTSD symptoms. But service dogs are extremely expensive, so she had a GoFundMe to raise money. And to my knowledge, she's never spoken about or been seen with her dog on TikTok, so people speculated it was all fake and just a way for her to make money. And yeah, I don't feel comfortable giving any other type of opinion on this, but since it's here, there you go. So, it seems like there's not really much that has changed since the past couple days. She still seems to be carrying on as she had planned to. There doesn't seem, like a whole lot of learning has been done, much in the way of just trying to change the way she's doing things. She seems pretty set in that she's doing things the right way. So we'll see how that's, all plays out. That's where it stands now. And again, as this is ongoing, I'll be sure to report back when there are any updates. So definitely let me know what you all are feeling about this whole thing. And, there were a lot of strong opinions before. So I would love to know if this changes anything you are feeling in any way. And as I kind of did this spur of the moment, I have no indie author to promote to you today, but just, always promote indie authors. And if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you would. I also have a Patreon if you are interested in supporting me over there, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!